Them right here, is that okay?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Oh, that was clean.
That was clean. There are a couple of ways that I harvest lettuce, and I'll have to show you. So, we decided to go ahead and make 2 separate videos today while we're out here harvesting, because a lot of people have questions about how to harvest lettuce. I did when I first started too. And so we kind of wanted to show that process. So if you see us out here wearing the same things, that's because the video was made at the same time. But I didn't want to make a 2-hour long video and then people miss things like how to harvest lettuce. So it's early in the morning still. It's starting to get milky already. I guess that answers our question. I was wondering if I should cut them down all the way or if I should just pick off the outer leaves. This Cimarron lettuce is starting to get milky. It has not even fully headed yet, but it is getting hot already, I would say. So, hey babe, let's show them how to cut just the leaves off. There's a couple of ways you can do this. One of my favorites is what Charles Dowding does, and he picks off the large leaves like this on the outside, and you can just pull those back. Or I have kitchen scissors, and you can cut them off if you're afraid that the lettuce can't handle that. So just taking the larger leaves, and then the smaller leaves will actually fill up the space. You can see here where I've taken out the larger leaves previously, and then the smaller leaves are filling in. And so that's one way. Another way is just harvesting the whole lettuce plant, which I think we're gonna do for a few of the lettuce plants today, right babe?
Mm-hmm.
Because they're huge. Now we actually have kitchen scissors. You can also use the knife. You can really probably use your hand when you're just pulling off the leaves like I just did. But because he's going to be doing a lot of the harvesting for me and cutting them at the very base of the lettuce and just bringing in the whole head of lettuce because they're starting to get milky on the inside. This, which is actually natural latex, guys, believe it or not. And look at that. So that means that the lettuce are wanting to bolt, and they're going to start getting bitter, really bitter, which is gross. Nobody wants overly bitter lettuce. And the same thing happens if we harvest too late in the evening, from my experience. So we're going to cut a bunch of these out. You can see these 3 watermelon plants. We planted them seeds in with the lettuce transplants. And our biggest tell when to harvest lettuce isn't just the milkiness and it going to bolting going to seed. Bolting is when the lettuce goes to seed. It puts off this milky substance, and then a big flower shoots out the center of it. We planted these because for those of us that are new to gardening, you may not know all the signs, and even with the milkiness and the bolting, it may still be confusing. But if you plant these watermelons, in your area when it's warm enough, or some kind of squash or anything, when that squash takes off and gets large like that, I like using watermelons because they're a little slower to grow than squash are. When they take off like that, you know they're about to start vining and taking over the bed, and it's time to clear out the lettuce, because watermelons and pumpkins, that is perfect. Only really take off when the weather warms up, and that's why it's such a telltale sign for harvesting lettuce. That means it's getting too hot for the lettuce if watermelon are growing. This is that heirloom Cimarron lettuce, and it looks like cinnamon lettuce, but it's Cimarron, and it's actually held up really nice. Has really nice, thick, waxy leaves on it, and they're beautiful in color. You can see the red and green leaves throughout. I really love this lettuce. It is absolutely beautiful. Now, what's today's temperature, babe? It was in the 60s when we first came out here, so what do you think it is now? 70? Yeah, so it's cooler than it has been. Yesterday it was hot. But still cooler, but hotter than today.
Yesterday, the day before that was so hot.
Yeah, it was.
It was like 92 to 91.
Yeah, and I think that's why this lettuce is getting confused. All right, let's harvest the rest of this and call it a day.
It's gonna be a lot of lettuce.
I know, I don't think we can harvest it all at once. Well, if we eat salad for dinner.
I will.
I have that spicy chicken, those spicy chicken patties. What if we make spicy chicken sandwiches? And we can.
I was thinking about that.
Yeah, we can use this lettuce on the spicy chicken. And I think that would probably be...
So I was about to go make some spicy chicken patties, but then I remembered the bread's
I would go ahead, babe, all the way down at the very base, because I think it's about... You're right. You got it. I think this is about it for... Well, I mean, we need to pick... Dang, I dropped it. I got it all in the...
I even closed it so I didn't hit my head on the short pot.
Yeah, I know. Hey, you know, where the sweet potatoes used to be, this bucket's still here. We could put the scrap lettuce that we definitely won't eat because it's too dirty or too, you know, how some of them start to rot on the plant in here, along with all of this stuff from the garden.
So we can compost.
We could compost, or we can just feed it to the geese. I think they would like the treat.
Best idea.
I love that. And the ducks give us some eggs for it.
Yeah,
Like a fair trade.
Egg.
We get eggs and they get tasty treats. I'm not going to be incubating anymore this year. I'm incubated out, to be honest.
We incubated almost over... If we counted every single time we incubated animals, we would have had over 1,000 animals.
Yep, just in the last year, because our ducks were laying like crazy. And just a couple months ago, we had over 20 duck hens. We got rid of a bunch of them because it was just too much to try and feed them. And we didn't have enough property for that many hens yet. So if you're...
It has a face.
It does. It looks like a little alligator. If you're like us and you're homesteading in an urban setting or a suburban setting, you really have to think about what you can actually manage on your property. You don't want to go off and get too many things. It's not reasonable, and you will become overwhelmed. I thought there would be more lettuce leaves on that plant than that.
No, it just looks like that.
Yeah.
Ellen thinks that, but then...
I would say we probably just need a couple of more. Look, this one, the ones that you kind of clipped off the center, you might want to just go ahead and pull those leaves at the base. I like to leave the roots of the plants in and let them break down. Feed the soil life.
Good.
Believe it or not, until it gets super hot, the lettuce will probably try. Yeah, leave the little ones. They'll grow up in the space where you're harvesting all the big ones at, bub. What do you think? Just maybe 2 or 3 more? This will be enough lettuce for dinner if you just harvest like 2 or 3 more heads. And you can go through and harvest the biggest.
This one would be like 90% of it.
That's a big one. Can you find the base of it? Hold on.
Here.
It looks like this is 2 plants.
Nope, there's one
No,
big
there's...
plant there.
Okay, look. It is 2 plants. See that? Go ahead. Clip that.
Dang,
Good
that
job.
was decent.
Oh, that's like 4 plants. I guess they grew all together.
What the heck?
I bet that was because they were transplant plugs.
I'm gonna grab this.
That's why there's so many.
This is a dude.
Do you need help? He just falls
like
over.
that.
Great job. And then the grass that's growing in between the lettuce plants, just pull that out and throw it in the compost bucket. I keep saying compost bucket now because you said we could compost it, but also the things that we can't feed to the birds, like the squash plants that are really spiny, we compost those. Boop.
Can I put these in there?
If you don't think you want to eat them, they're good to, or you just want to share with the birds.
I'm gonna go share these with the birds. There's a lot they can have.
All right.
And I like Brian's like,
Yeah, he does like that, doesn't he? I don't know what kind of plant that is. Look at that. Already a bowl of lettuce. Look how much is left. These are these transplants I planted earlier this year. Those lettuce transplants from the start inside. It's a good amount of lettuce, right? I never thought that a couple weeks later, or a month later really, we would have this entire garden bed filled with lettuce. And now it's mid-April, quickly becoming late April. Isn't this incredible? I'm so proud of this garden, and it's so nice getting to spend one-on-one time with my son out here, him harvesting and learning. So just little stints, because he's not a big outdoor person, so I don't try to force it on him. But when there are things that he likes to do and enjoys, yeah, I'm gonna let him. Farm kids work harder than anyone else, let me tell you. They are hard-working kids. His coffee. So this is all from earlier. Shove it in this bucket. That's a lot to feed to the geese and ducks. That is a lot. Look at this.
That is an immense amount.
Yeah, it is definitely an immense amount. Hey, this flower we can pick up in. Boop.
Yeah,
So this evening we can come out and harvest more squash. They'll probably be ready. But these lettuce, man, I almost want to harvest more because they're getting milky, but I know that our family's not going to be able to eat all of that lettuce. There's just no way. Look at this. These are turnips that somehow made their way out. Oh my gosh, look at that. So this isn't even amended soil. This is our native clay soil, and this is the best turnip I've seen all year. And they're all like that over here. Growing well. This is amazing. So can you grow turnip in clay soil? Yes, absolutely. This is non-amended clay soil next to our amended bed. And somehow the turnips made their way out here and produced this gorgeous globe. That's incredible. Absolutely the best turnip I've had. Wow. I wasn't even expecting that. I knew there were some turnips growing over here. I didn't expect this absolutely gorgeous turnip. So I might actually try growing some turnips in clay soil now. I'm impressed in a way that I can't even explain. So now you guys kind of seen the different ways that we harvest lettuce. It's really easy to figure out, you know. There's not a lot to it. Lettuce is just one of those easier plants to grow. I think the reason that so many people just starting out struggle is that they don't know exactly when to plant lettuce. They plant it too late in the fall or winter and have freezes and the leaves freeze and then the plant gets yucky. Or they plant it too late into the spring or summer. And if you're harvesting lettuce or starting lettuce during the summer, outdoors, unprotected in a warm area, it's not going to do well. So you really need to think about your climate because we're in a warm area. There is a very short window in both spring and fall that we can really grow lettuce well outdoors. Fall there's more because it goes from really hot August, September, October. There can be some really cold days, but it's really November when it starts to get cold. But one Christmas it was 80 something degrees on Christmas. I think it was 2 years ago actually. About 2 years ago that I made a video showing where it was 80 something degrees in the middle of December. And I was still growing green beans. So it can be really hot, or it can go from hot to cold, and then in spring it goes from freezing weather in January and February, which are usually our coldest month is February, to all of a sudden it's in the 80s and then dropping from 80s to 60s, 90s to 50s, like nonstop. So it's really confusing what to grow and trying to figure it out in this climate for me, but now we kind of figured it out. So lettuce is just one of those plants that we don't eat a ton of it because it produces so much. And by the time it really takes off for us, yeah, you can't because it's bitter, I guess you would say, right? The lettuce, once it gets hot, it gets too bitter really fast. Yeah.
Hey, look, something.
So that's something to kind of watch out for. Huh. Yeah, it's all breaking off. I need to fix it. I think that one really bad rainstorm we have with all the wind is the reason that all of that broke off. Yeah. Maybe we should try some like nylon fishing string. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think we have a reel in there with the fishing poles. Okay guys, well I think that about sums it up for our lettuce video. I know it's kind of silly making all these videos one right after another, but I really wanted to showcase the lettuce separately.
Wait, trash. Do I bring the trash cans up?
No, today's not our trash day. I think they're just bringing that out.
Today's Monday, right?
Today's Monday.
Yeah.
Our trash day's on Wednesday. I wonder if somebody rented that in order to, it looks like it's pulling in next door. I wonder if they rented it for something. I think they're doing a pretty big cleanup on their yard. Oh, you know what? That's one of those roll-off boxes from the city you can rent, and they'll haul it off to the dump. The other day, remember, they, actually, you probably don't know this, the neighbors had their shed in the backyard that a small crew, a couple of guys out there, they took off like all of the rotten wood off the top of the shed and the side, completely replaced. Go look in the backyard. Their shed looks amazing. They did a really good job. I'm really impressed with those workers. So what you're hearing right now is the city, it looks like a trash truck, so my son was a little confused, but they're bringing a roll-off box to our neighbors who had some work done around their yard and on their shed, and the crew did an amazing job. I mean, these two men knocked out that whole project in a day, and we were so impressed. I was like, wow, if we weren't able to do the work ourselves, I would definitely hire them, and honestly might consider it for future projects, getting their number from my neighbor, because they did such an amazing job, and it is hard to do it yourself. Our neighbors are a little older than us. They're older than my parents, so it gets a little harder to do certain jobs, and my husband tries to help out when he can, but sometimes it's just a lot of work managing everything, and so we also do that. Sometimes we get people to help us out and hire people. So don't think that we're doing everything around our property all by ourselves. We have children. I have siblings that help. I have a lot of brothers and sisters. It's not always just us. Now, I do manage a good portion of this garden, and everything else, but I do have help. So if you can get a couple of people to help you, I think that would be really nice and really helpful. I don't want you guys to think that all of this is always easy. There are days we have to take off and rest, that I'm exhausted, and I try to be open and honest about that. But can you manage a garden by yourself? Absolutely, you can. But if you have a large garden and a lot of produce coming out of it, it is going to be more difficult. It is going to be a lot of work. It can be like a job. It can feel a lot like a job. That's why people who produce a large amount for themselves and it's just them managing it will grow through several seasons to produce food for 1 year, because it can be a lot to manage. So this is it for the lettuce harvest. We got an entire bowl. There were those three squash, but that was our big bowl that I used to make bread and mashed potatoes. It can fit 5 pounds of potatoes, uncut, so it's a big box, or a big bowl. I'm saying box because I see the box over there being set down. So if that gives you any idea how much lettuce that is, we'll be using it for lunch and dinner, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's some left over. So this is a good, it does sit well, but it's not a storage type lettuce. But the reason I love Cimarron lettuce is not only that's a little more heat resistant, like I said, we're approaching the backside of middle of April, so pretty soon will be the end of April, and it makes a huge difference having this type of lettuce. And I find that these leaves are actually a lot easier to wash because they're a little thicker and waxier. I may let a couple of these go to seed. I actually still have a pretty decent amount of that packet left. I think there was 1,000 seeds in it. I really don't remember. I have to go back and look at my previous videos or go dig the seeds out. But you could cut all of these out and leave your best 2 heads of lettuce to fully mature and bolt and get seed for next year. It really only takes 1 or 2 lettuce plants to get a large amount of seed. And I have a large family, so if you have a smaller family, 1 lettuce plant would produce seed, but I recommend 2 in case something happens to 1, you have a backup plant to gather seed from, which is really nice. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump off of here. I still have to take care of the ducks and geese, baby chicks today. I know the baby chickens, they are completely out of feed, and I filled up 2 of their feeders last night in the evening time when I came out. So they're eating a lot of food now. And those are the birds that I did the little chick update video a couple of days ago on. So you might be impressed with how fast they grow and how much they eat during that time period. So as always, we just want to say thank you guys for watching our channel and the support. You know, we're just a couple of people hanging out, doing farm chores, you know, in a more urban area, and we want to share that process so that other people know that you can grow and homestead on a smaller piece of land. You see all these large properties, and we eventually want a large property too, but I don't want you to think that you have to have a ton of land. Everything that we're doing right now, as far as gardening wise, you can do on a smaller property. All you need is maybe 1,000 square foot of space, and you could grow a substantial
amount.
amount.
How much square foot do we have?
Our lot, I think it's like 30,000 square feet. The entire lot, including the house, like everything. But I'm not really sure.
We go like the full thing. It's like almost.
I'm not exactly sure, but I know that we are on 0.68 of an acre, and that includes everything, like the tree line that we can't use, the right of way for the city and all of that. That is included. Okay. Everything in the back space you can't use from front to back of our driveway and our house. It's all 0.68 of an acre total. So however many square foot that is, I don't know off the top of my head, but yeah. So you can use a small amount. I can tell you that these two beds over here, this bed, these two beds are each, 64 square foot total. It's 32 square feet down each side. So if that gives you an idea of what you can grow in a small amount of space, it really does, because we grow quite a bit. It is a lot of plants. So you can do this, guys. You definitely can. As always, thank you for taking time out of your day to hang out with us and watch our videos. We greatly appreciate you guys.
So long.